Hey everyone, Mama Mike here, and today I want to do a quick video. This is my impressions of Fire Emblem Awakening, and wow, what a game! I did an unboxing of this game a while back, and I finally got around to playing it. This is the case if you want a quick look at it. I thought I would just have that handy. It is an intense game. The artwork on the cover, wow. I always loved this case, so that was really cool. But this game is intense, the story is phenomenal, and it was a fantastic experience to be my first Fire Emblem game. So let's get right into it. Starting off, I'd never played a Fire Emblem game before, and I had never even attempted a strategy RPG, so I really never had anything like this in my kind of gaming history. After playing through a few RPGs, I felt comfortable enough to finally give a strategy RPG a try, and I'm very happy that this was the first one that I tried because it is executed so wonderfully. Having never played a Fire Emblem game and not wanting to spoil anything, I didn't watch any gameplay videos for this game, so everything about it was new to me. I barely even watched reviews for the game because I just didn't want anything spoiled even in the slightest bit. The biggest difference is how the story is presented. In Fire Emblem, the battles are the main component of the game, and those battles are what progress the story. In most RPGs that I play, you're traveling around the world, you're solving puzzles in dungeons, you're moving through the world map and navigating through that, and that's a big component of the gameplay. Then you have, obviously, the combat. Every RPG has combat of some kind, and that is the next, component in it. And then the story almost feels separately detached from it in a way of, obviously what you're doing progresses the story, but then you've got the really big story clips, and you've got the cutscenes that progress the story. Fire Emblem just felt like a completely different formula. In this game, the battles could be 20 to 30 minutes depending on how high level of a battle it was, and they were intense. They really meant a lot, and how you did in that battle really made a difference in the game. And while there were, of course, cutscenes in this game, they're executed beautifully. There's a mix of cutscenes and also, just dialogue scenes as well that you click through and read. They are done so well, and I was just blown away by the quality of this game. In terms of the animation, it looks fantastic. It is a great representation of what the 3DS is capable of. But in this game, you are the tactician, and you want to keep your teammates alive. It is very important that you do your job well and that you help your team to survive these battles and to make the most of your teammates' abilities as well. A big component of battles is putting characters side by side that will work well together. This builds friendship, which in turn helps them to play better together, to fight better together, I should say. By building a friendship, they can give each other better stat boosts during a battle, and then too, their abilities will just work better together. And so pairing up characters is a really fun aspect of this game, especially in the romantic interest portion of it. I love playing matchmaker in games, so I had a real lot of fun playing matchmaker and setting up husbands and wives and whatnot. But just building friendships as well was also really fun and enjoyable, and you see the benefits while you're playing the game. It really boosts your strategy to become better friends with the other characters. And as I mentioned before, in most RPGs you have a navigation component of the game where you're navigating through a map and there's dungeons or puzzles to solve, and Fire Emblem doesn't have that. Fire Emblem has a point-to-point map system where you just travel between each location. You have your mini map on the bottom screen of the 3DS, and you just go point to point wherever you need to go. There's no fighting along the way, there's no random battles or anything like that. It is a very different experience if you've played RPGs like I have. If you haven't tried a game like this, it's a very different experience from the normal navigating between worlds, getting lost a few times, fighting in some dungeons and doing some puzzles. It's a very different feeling, but it's done so well that it doesn't feel boring. It doesn't feel like it's lacking anything because it doesn't have that element. It feels like a very rounded out game and very well done, even without that component of navigation that in most RPGs that gives you kind of the sense of a journey. It gives you the sense of a long journey that you've been on and that you're working through. Fire Emblem still has that quality, especially because you can see all the points on the map that you've been to, and you realize it really sinks in how many battles you've fought, how many times you've had to save your friends. it still has that feeling of a journey without getting lost in a large world map. This game does allow you to replay battles, and it's a really fun system that makes it believable in the game, is that you essentially have bait, and you can bait the enemies to come back to that area. You'll get different enemies than you fought the first time, so not only is it a different battle and it keeps it engaging, but it's also a believable way to replay the story in a game that is very, in terms of emotion, it's very realistic, and it's a game that really you sink your teeth into it, you keep progressing through the story. It can be difficult to backtrack and replay certain maps, but you do have a lot of fun doing that because, like I said, you'll get different enemies than the first time that you played it. This game has so many different ways to play, and the battles will play out so differently just based on whichever characters you choose to be in your party. And then, as I said too, based on how you pair up those characters during the battle, the game will play out even more differently. It's very important to strategize how you play your party, because unlike some RPGs where a character will still earn XP even if they're not actively in battle, in Fire Emblem, characters don't level up or earn XP unless they're actively fighting, which is why it is a great feature that you can replay certain battles. And it's also fun that they have really excellent side quests, and those are very engaging. They're a lot of fun. They're worthwhile side quests. They're not just, oh, don't bother with those, they're no fun. They're great. They're very well executed, and it's a great way to level up characters that maybe you don't want to bring them to the main battles. Maybe there are characters that you don't like so much, but you do want them to keep pace with the others. This is a great way to have those characters play as well. The story of this game is the main attraction. Having never played a Fire Emblem game, I really wasn't sure what to expect in terms of tone, but my goodness, this game really threw me for a loop. It was fantastic. This game has moments that are dramatic, moments that are humorous, but never over the top or cheesy. It's a fantastic story that I highly recommend watching all the way through. It's just an excellent game if you put the time into it. The story just has twists and turns, and it's just so engrossing. You'll really enjoy the story if you give this game a chance. You will have some decisions to make in this game, and that was something that completely surprised me. I didn't expect that at all. And in this game, the stakes are really high, and the sacrifices that you have to make for the greater good are heart-wrenching. There were some choices that I spent easily 5 minutes just sitting with my 3DS trying to decide what to do. I don't believe that the story will play out differently based on the choice that you make, but the difference will be how your party members perceive you, whether they see you as a good person or a bad person, and that is really heavy in your heart, and it does weigh heavily on your decision on what to do. Regardless of whether or not the game would play out differently, as I said, I'm not entirely sure. I believe that regardless of which choice you choose, the game would have the same result, but how the other characters see you would be dramatically different, and that makes a huge difference. As I said, friendship matters in this game, and how the other characters perceive you really matters in this game. And in addition to saying that how you play matters, certain characters can only join your party if you speak with them on the battlefield as a particular character. So there are certain enemies that can be kind of brought over to your side of the fight, and they will fight with you for the rest of the game, but you have to be able to get to them first before, maybe you have to make sure that they don't attack you first and then you don't get a chance to speak with them. You have to be very strategic. The game does kind of point out which characters you'd be able to speak with, but you still have to be the strategist and figure out, how do I get to them first, and how do I prevent maybe another party member from injuring them, and that would prevent them from joining us. There's a lot at stake in this game, and there are many characters that if you don't recruit them, you will not be able to play with them for the duration of the game, which is 40 plus hours. That aspect of forming bonds in the game, it really does make your choices weigh heavily on you, and it makes the stakes that much higher, because when you're in battle, you're no longer just soldiers. Now you think you've got husbands and wives and parents on your team, and you want to keep these families alive and happy. And it makes the gravity of your decisions a lot more severe. And this game does have two modes, either kind of a casual mode where characters don't die permanently, or they have the classic mode where if a character dies, they are gone for good. So you can make that decision as well if you're wary of losing a character for the entire game. I definitely would recommend the casual mode. That's what I chose because this is my first ever Fire Emblem game, and I'm glad that I did because I had people dying in my third battle or so because I just wasn't used to the whole strategy RPG thing. If I replay this game, I think I will play it on classic mode because I'd love to see how it plays out if you lose a character, although I'll try my best to keep them all alive. Talking next about the weapons and abilities in this game, the selection of weapons is fantastic. There is so much variety that you will find along the way, both in shops and on the battlefield. There's plenty of things to pick up and find, and it's awesome to explore this game. You'll really enjoy spending the time to explore a map and find things on it. And also going through shops, they make it very simple to shop. While you're on sort of your map, you can go to each point on the map and it will show you what items are available at each shop so that you're not wasting a lot of time going from shop to shop looking for something. In a game that already takes 40 hours, that is a big deal, and that little bit of time savings makes it so much easier to get the items that you want. Another thing that's available in this game is there are items that can progress your class from a normal class that is at max level to an advanced class, which then can level up again. This really cements the feeling of progression in the game and of improvement, and as you're getting better at playing the game, your characters are gaining new abilities and it can completely change up the game. Those later battles, which are really difficult, you gain so many abilities that your strategies are changing, you're learning more and more about how to use these characters effectively, and by the end of this game you really do feel like a master tactician. Overall, this game is a masterpiece. It doesn't over-explain itself and it doesn't drown you in tutorials. The game allows you to learn and to improve your strategy without being stuck in tutorial land for an hour or more. The story is motivating and will leave you guessing, and trust me, the ending is 100% worth it. This is like a Marvel movie. You have to watch until the credits are over, and that is when you get your final ending, and there are different endings to this game. I was so happy with the one that I got, but it really struck me. I actually cried at the end of this game because it was just so powerful, and the ending really affected me. After going on this 44-hour journey, and I'm still not even done with the game, I still have more side missions that I'd like to revisit, and I would just like to level up some of the characters a little bit more and just keep playing with them. But once you complete that main story, the ending is striking and powerful, and it is so worth the journey that you've been on. This is a game about friendship and bonds. This is a game about strength that comes from the need to protect others. It is a very emotionally driven story, and the ending just really got me. I can't say enough times how it's so worth it to completely watch through the ending. I know it can be easy to set your 3DS down when you've got, 10 minutes worth of credits, but just pay attention to it because it is fantastic. If you're in the market for a new experience and an amazing story, I highly recommend Fire Emblem Awakening, and I myself will definitely be looking into the next games in the series. I'd love to play the Fire Emblem Fates games now, and I'm just hooked on Fire Emblem. There's so much content for me to discover now that I've played this game. So that was a quick run through on my impressions of Fire Emblem Awakening, a game that has really stuck with me and that has made me a Fire Emblem fan. Let me know in the comments below if you have played this game and what you thought of it. Like, comment, and subscribe if you'd like to see more, and I'll see you next time. Bye!